Your mind is the command center of your life. Every decision you make, every action you take, and every experience you have begins with a thought. If you don't take control of your mind, the world will do it for you. Society, circumstances, other people's opinions, they will shape your beliefs, your emotions, and ultimately your destiny. But the moment you decide to own your mind, to take charge of your thoughts, and to condition yourself for success, you begin to take back control of your life. Most people go through life reacting instead of creating. They wake up and immediately check their phones, letting the outside world dictate how they feel. They dwell on past failures, worry about the future, and let negative thoughts run on autopilot. They don't realize that their minds are filled with limiting beliefs, stories they've repeated to themselves so many times that they accept them as truth. I'm not good enough. I'll never be successful. I don't have what it takes. These beliefs are not reality. They are just patterns of thinking. And the good news is you can break these patterns. You can rewire your mind. You can program yourself for success, but only if you take conscious control of your thoughts. The first step is awareness. Most people are so caught up in their daily routines that they don't even realize how much their thoughts are controlling them. But if you stop and pay attention, you'll see the patterns. You'll notice that every time you face a challenge, your mind starts making excuses. Every time you try to step out of your comfort zone, fear kicks in. These thoughts are not you, they are just conditioning. They are the result of years of programming from your environment, your experiences, and the people around you. But here's the truth. You don't have to accept them. You can choose new beliefs, new thoughts, and a new way of thinking that empowers you instead of holding you back. One of the most powerful ways to take control of your mind is to control your focus. What you focus on, you feel. If you focus on what's wrong, what's missing, or what could go wrong, you will feel fear, frustration, and doubt. But if you focus on solutions, possibilities, and the actions you can take, you will feel empowered. The world's most successful people don't have fewer problems than everyone else. They just focus on solutions instead of problems. They train their minds to find opportunities where others see obstacles. They ask themselves empowering questions like, what's the best way forward? Instead of disempowering questions like, why does this always happen to me? Your brain is like a muscle, and what you train it to focus on becomes your default. If you constantly focus on negative outcomes, your brain will reinforce that pattern. But if you train yourself to look for the good, to find opportunities, and to believe in your own power, your mind will start working for you instead of against you. This isn't just motivation, it's science. Your brain has a system called the reticular activating system, RAS, which filters out information and highlights what you focus on. If you tell yourself that you're not good enough, your brain will find evidence to support that belief. But if you tell yourself that you are capable, powerful, and unstoppable, your brain will start looking for proof of that as well. Another key to taking back control of your mind is changing your language. The words you use don't just describe your reality, they create it. If you constantly say, I'm exhausted, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm stuck, you will feel that way. But if you change your language and say, I'm recharging, I'm figuring this out, or I'm getting stronger, you shift how you feel instantly. Your words have power, and the more intentional you are about how you speak to yourself, the more control you have over your mindset. But mindset isn't just about what you think, it's about what you do. You can't just sit around and hope that your thoughts will change on their own. You have to take action. Motion creates emotion. If you want to feel strong, confident, and in control, start by changing your physiology. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with energy. When you change your physical state, you change your mental state. That's why top performers, athletes, and successful entrepreneurs all have morning rituals that put them in a peak state before they start their day. They don't leave their mindset up to chance, they train it. Your environment also plays a huge role in your mindset. If you surround yourself with negative people who complain, make excuses, and accept mediocrity, their mindset will rub off on you. But if you surround yourself with people who are driven, focused, and committed to success, you will naturally start to think at a higher level. That's why it's so important to be intentional about who you spend time with and what you consume. If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, whether it's the news, social media, or toxic relationships, you are programming your mind for fear and doubt. But if you fill your mind with positivity, inspiration, and knowledge, you are programming yourself for success. Taking back control of your mind is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong commitment. You have to train yourself every single day. You have to be conscious of your thoughts, your focus, your language, and your actions. You have to decide over and over again that you are in control of your own destiny. And when you do that, when you truly take ownership of your mind, you take back control of your life. Emotions are one of the most powerful forces in life. They can drive you to take massive action, or they can hold you back in fear and hesitation. Most people live as if they have no control over their emotions. They believe that emotions just happen to them, that their feelings are dictated by external circumstances, that they are at the mercy of how life unfolds. But the truth is, emotions are not something you passively experience, they are something you generate. The moment you take ownership of your emotions, you take back control of your life. Think about the moments when you felt unstoppable, when you were confident, determined, and full of energy. Were those feelings random? Or were they a result of something you focused on, a choice you made, a decision to step into a powerful state? On the other hand, think about the times when you felt stuck, frustrated, or afraid. Those emotions weren't random either. They were triggered by what you focused on, how you moved your body, and the meaning you gave to the situation. The key to emotional mastery is realizing that you are not your emotions. You are the creator of them. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with emotions is that they let their past dictate how they feel in the present. They carry old pain, past failures, and unresolved fears, and they allow those emotions to shape their decisions. But living in the past keeps you trapped. If you want to take control of your emotions, you have to break free from that cycle. You have to decide that the past does not define you, that what happened before does not determine what happens next. You have to take control of the present moment, because this is the only moment where you have power. Your emotions are shaped by three main factors: your physiology, your focus, and your language. If you change any one of these, you can instantly change how you feel. Physiology is the fastest way to shift your emotion. When you stand tall, move with energy, and breathe deeply, you feel more powerful. When you slump your shoulders, take shallow breaths, and move slowly, you feel weak. That's not a coincidence. That's science. Your body and mind are connected, and the way you use your body directly impacts how you feel. That's why athletes, performers, and leaders train their physiology. They know that if they control their body, they control their state. The second factor is focus. Whatever you focus on, you feel. If you focus on problems, you feel stressed. If you focus on what you can control, you feel empowered. If you focus on what you've lost, you feel sad. If you focus on what you're grateful for, you feel joy. Most people let their focus be controlled by their environment. They watch the news and feel anxious. They scroll through social media and feel insecure. But you don't have to be a victim of what the world throws at you. You can train yourself to focus on what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. You can ask yourself empowering questions like, what's great about this situation? Instead of disempowering questions like, why does this always happen to me? Your brain will always find answers to the questions you ask, so make sure you're asking the right ones. The third factor is language. The words you use shape your emotions. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm exhausted, I'm overwhelmed, or I'm stuck, you will feel that way. But if you shift your language and say, I'm recharging, I'm figuring this out, or I'm getting stronger, you instantly feel different. Your words don't just describe your reality, they create it. The most successful people are intentional with their language. They use words that empower them, that keep them moving forward, that reinforce their strength instead of their weakness. Taking control of your emotions doesn't mean ignoring them or suppressing them. It means recognizing them, understanding them, and choosing how you respond. Every emotion has a message. Fear is telling you to prepare. Frustration is telling you to change your approach. Sadness is telling you to reflect. But emotions should guide you, not control you. The moment you realize that you have the power to shift your state at any time, you step into a new level of control. The best way to train your emotions is through daily rituals. Just like you train your body with exercise, you can train your mind and emotions with consistent habits. Start your day with movement, deep breathing, and powerful affirmations. Condition yourself to feel gratitude, confidence, and strength before the day even begins. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who challenge you, who push you to be better. Limit exposure to negativity, whether it's toxic people, the news, or self-doubt. Protect your emotional state like your life depends on it, because it does. Most people live as if emotions are something that happened to them. They let circumstances dictate how they feel. They react instead of respond, and they allow negative emotions to linger longer than they should. But you don't have to live that way. You can choose to take control. You can decide right now that you will no longer be at the mercy of your emotions, that you will own your state, that you will create the emotions that serve you, and that you will step into your power every single day. Because when you take control of your emotions, you take control of your life. Life is shaped by the decisions we make. Every breakthrough, every transformation, every moment of progress begins with a decision. But not just any decision, a real, committed, no turning back decision. Most people make choices casually, hesitantly, with one foot in and one foot out. They say they want change, but they leave the door open for doubt. They say they want success, but they hesitate when it's time to act. That's why so many people stay stuck in the same patterns year after year, waiting for the right time, waiting for more confidence, waiting for things to be perfect. But success doesn't come from waiting. Success comes from making a decision, committing to it fully, and taking massive action. Action is the force that turns dreams into reality. Without action, ideas remain ideas. Plans remain plans. Nothing changes. The biggest mistake people make is believing they need to feel ready before they act. They think they need more knowledge, more experience, more certainty. But the truth is, action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. You don't wait for the perfect moment, you create it by moving forward. Every successful person understands this. They don't hesitate, they don't overanalyze, they don't let fear keep them frozen. They make a decision, they commit to it, and they take relentless action until they get the results they want. The problem is that most people let fear and uncertainty control them. They ask, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if things don't go as planned? But the real question is, what if you never try? What if you let fear steal your potential? What if you wake up years from now and realize you let hesitation keep you from the life you were meant to live? Regret is far worse than failure. Failure is temporary. Failure is a lesson. Failure is progress. But regret lasts forever. And the only way to avoid it is to act now. When you make a real decision, one that is non-negotiable, everything changes. The word decide comes from the Latin word decidere, which means to cut off. A true decision cuts off all other options. It removes hesitation. It removes excuses. It forces you to move forward. That's the kind of decision that leads to real transformation. But commitment is what sustains it. Commitment means doing whatever it takes no matter what. It means staying focused when things get hard. It means adjusting your strategy instead of giving up. It means pushing through obstacles instead of using them as excuses. Most people think they lack motivation, but motivation is not the problem. The problem is lack of commitment. When you're truly committed, you don't need motivation. You rely on feelings. You rely on discipline. You don't make decisions based on your mood. You make decisions based on your vision. Commitment means showing up, taking action, and doing the work even when you don't feel like it. Because that's what separates the people who succeed from the people who talk about success. Taking massive action doesn't mean making one big move and expecting instant results. It means consistent, relentless effort. It means taking action every single day, no matter how small. Small actions compound over time. They build momentum. They create unstoppable progress. The most successful people didn't achieve their dreams overnight. They took consistent action, day after day, year after year. They weren't always the smartest or the most talented, but they were always the most committed. They refused to stop. They refused to settle. And that's why they succeeded. One of the most powerful ways to build momentum is to create rituals that force you to take action. Don't leave your success to chance. Structure your life in a way that makes action automatic. Set clear goals and write them down every day. Visualize your success before you start your morning. Move your body, energize your mind, and step into a powerful state before you begin your day. Surround yourself with people who push you to take action, who challenge you, who won't let you settle for less. Limit distractions, eliminate excuses, and create an environment that makes it impossible to fail. Because when you structure your life for action, success becomes inevitable. Another key to taking massive action is learning to embrace uncertainty. Most people let uncertainty stop them. They wait for guarantees. They wait for the perfect plan. But there is no perfect plan. There is no perfect moment. The only way to succeed is to move forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Action creates clarity. Action creates results. And action builds confidence. The more you act, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more unstoppable you become. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been hesitating? What decision have you been putting off? What action have you been avoiding? If you want real change, if you want to take back control, the time to act is now. Don't wait, don't overthink, decide, commit, and take massive action, because the moment you do, everything changes. One of the greatest realizations in life is understanding that you are the one in control. No one else is coming to save you, no one else is responsible for your success, and no one else is to blame if you don't create the life you want. The moment you take full ownership of your life, your thoughts, your actions, your results, is the moment everything changes. Most people go through life feeling like they're at the mercy of circumstances. They blame the economy, their past, other people, or bad luck. But the truth is, the only thing that determines your future is what you choose to do right now. Ownership is power. When you accept full responsibility for where you are in life, you also gain the power to change it. If you're in great shape, it's because of your choices. If you're struggling financially, it's because of your decisions. If your relationships are thriving, it's because of the effort you put in. And if they're not, that's on you too. This level of responsibility is not about guilt or blame, it's about empowerment. Because if you created your current reality, that means you can create something even better. The problem is that most people resist taking full ownership because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to point fingers, to make excuses, to wait for something external to change. But the people who succeed at the highest level, whether in business, relationships, health, or personal growth, are the ones who eliminate excuses and take full control. They don't blame their circumstances, they use them as fuel. They don't let obstacles stop them. They find ways around them. They don't complain about what they can't change. They focus entirely on what they can control. And what can you control? You can control your mindset. You can control your effort. You can control how you respond to challenges. You can control the standards you set for yourself. You can control the people you surround yourself with. These are the things that shape your life. The moment you start focusing on them instead of everything outside of your control, you take your power back. One of the fastest ways to shift into a mindset of total ownership is to change your language. Stop saying I have to and start saying I get to. Stop saying I can't and start saying how can I. Stop saying it's not my fault and start saying it's my responsibility. Language shapes your thoughts and your thoughts shape your reality. If you speak like a victim, you will feel like a victim. If you speak like a leader, you will act like one. Another critical part of taking back control is managing your standards. Your life is a reflection of what you tolerate. If you tolerate excuses, procrastination, or negativity, that's what you will get. But if you raise your standards and refuse to accept anything less than excellence from yourself, everything shifts. Think about any major breakthrough you've had in life. It likely happened when you decided that you would no longer accept a certain level of mediocrity. Maybe you were tired of struggling financially, so you found a way to earn more. Maybe you were tired of feeling unhealthy, so you committed to a fitness plan. Maybe you were tired of toxic relationships, so you changed the people you surrounded yourself with. All transformation begins with a decision to raise your standards. One of the biggest challenges people face when taking control of of their lives is the fear of change. Change is uncomfortable. It forces you to step outside of what's familiar. But nothing great happens inside your comfort zone. Growth only happens when you push yourself beyond what's easy, beyond what feels safe, beyond what you already know. Every time you challenge yourself, whether it's by taking on a new project, pushing yourself in the gym, or speaking up when you normally stay quiet, you expand your capacity. You prove to yourself that you are capable of more. And once you experience that growth, you'll never want to go back to the old version of yourself. Taking back control also means surrounding yourself with the right influences. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with people who complain, procrastinate, and make excuses, you will adopt those habits. But if you surround yourself with people who push you, who inspire you, who hold you to a higher standard, you will naturally rise to their level. That's why successful people are intentional about who they let into their lives. They don't spend time with people who drain their energy. They seek out those who challenge them to be better. At the end of the day, the life you have is the life you create. No one else is responsible for your success. No one else is responsible for your happiness. No one else is responsible for your potential. It's all on you. That might sound like pressure, but it's actually the greatest freedom you will ever experience. Because if it's all on you, that means you have the power to create anything you desire. So stop waiting, stop hesitating, stop making excuses. Take control, take action, and take charge of your future, because no one else is going to do it for you.